Welcome back to this program from the Milken Archive of American Jewish Music. I'm Leonard Nimoy. Today, we're listening to music drawn from and inspired by the culture of the Sephardim, the Jews who trace their origins to Spain or Portugal. Earlier on today's program, we heard Sephardi choruses by Samuel Adler. Lowell Milken, founder of the Milken Archive, recalls how the premiere performance of another work of Adler's held special meaning for him.
Another piece that was very memorable to me is a piece that Sam Adler wrote, an original composition called The Challenge of the Muse. And he wrote this piece to celebrate the indomitable spirit and the courage of the earliest Jewish settlers in New Amsterdam and of the survivors of the Holocaust and how they were able to build a new life out of the suffering and adversity. And what was particularly touching to me is that Sam dedicated this original composition to me for the work at the archive, and we had the world premiere of it during our conference in New York in November 2003. That was a very memorable event also.
The founder of the Milken Archive, Lowell Milken. One of the most beloved prayers in the Jewish liturgy is a poem that welcomes the Sabbath on Friday just before sunset. It is called in Hebrew, Lecha Dodi, and it greets the Sabbath as if it were a bride at a wedding. We'll open this half of our program with a lively setting of this 15th century Kabbalistic text by a cantor from the Moroccan Sephardi tradition.
Aaron Ben Shushan was a cantor, or is a cantor, and wrote this extraordinary work, which is more of what we think of when we think of Sephardi music. It has improvisatory beginning, it has a dance feeling, and it has a relationship between the cantor and the chorus that grows, and it doesn't sound like it's composed the way Marvin David Levy's work is or Bruce Adolph's work.
Your instincts are right on the mark there. It's a mixture of improvisation and a fixed tune. I mean, it gets into the whole business of what compose means. It really comes out of the Latin, which just means to put together. Ben Shushan is employing an Eastern Mediterranean Sephardi virtuoso tradition in the strophes of this text, and for the refrain, he created an entirely original melody. This is, again, what we've talked about many times in terms of cantorial art on the Ashkenazi side. Now we're talking about it on the Sephardi side. It's an improvisatory art. It's cantor-composer creating for himself and creating improvisatorially. Now, there are more tunes, more separate tunes for Lecha Dodi than any other text in the entire liturgy. We are not talking about hundreds. We are talking about, at the very minimum, many, many thousands. So this adds one more. But it's a wonderful illustration of the Sephardi tradition in its Eastern Mediterranean guise.
Here is cantor Aaron Ben Shushan's setting of the pre-Friday evening prayer, Lecha Dodi, in a performance from a Naxos CD by the composer with the New London Children's Choir and Schola Hebraica under the direction of Neil Levin.